In the vast, indifferent cosmos where untold horrors lurk beyond the veil of human comprehension, there are truths that, once glimpsed, can never be unseen. I, Jonathan Vale, write these words with trembling hands, my mind teetering on the precipice of sanity. For I have gazed into the abyss, and the abyss, dear reader, has gazed back with an intensity that has scorched my very soul. It began on a night like any other, in my modest observatory nestled in the rolling hills of New England. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and loam, as I adjusted my telescope, eager to continue my nightly vigil of the heavens. Little did I know that this evening would mark the beginning of a descent into madness and cosmic terror that would reshape my understanding of reality itself. As I swept my gaze across the familiar constellations, a peculiarity caught my eye. There, in a region of space I had observed countless times before, was an anomaly, a void where stars should have been. At first, I dismissed it as a trick of the light, a momentary blindness perhaps. But as I focused my instrument on that patch of sky, a chill ran down my spine. It was no mere absence of light, but something far more sinister, a presence that seemed to devour the very starlight around it. For hours I observed this phenomenon, meticulously recording my findings. The object, if it could be called such, defied all known laws of celestial mechanics. It moved with purpose, its trajectory bringing it ever closer to our unsuspecting world. As dawn broke, casting its pale light over my unkempt lawn, I stumbled to my study, my mind reeling from the implications of what I had witnessed. In the days that followed, I threw myself into research, seeking any explanation for the anomaly that now consumed my every waking thought. I pored over astronomical journals, consulted with colleagues, and even delved into ancient texts, searching for any mention of a similar occurrence throughout history. My obsession grew, and with it, a creeping sense of dread that I could neither explain nor shake. It was during this frantic period of study that I first came across the Sumerian tablets, artifacts so old that their very existence seemed to defy time itself. Translated by a long-dead archaeologist whose name has been lost to the annals of academia, these clay remnants spoke of a black sun that traversed the cosmos, bringing with it unspeakable change. The ancients wrote of those who were called by this entity, vanishing into the night sky, never to return. As I read these accounts, my blood ran cold. For in that moment I knew with certainty that the object I had observed was this very same cosmic harbinger. The black star, as I came to call it, was not merely approaching Earth, it was returning, as it had done countless times before in the long and terrible history of our planet. My colleagues, when I dared to share my findings, met my theories with skepticism and concern. They spoke in hushed tones of stress and overwork, gently suggesting that perhaps I needed rest. But I knew the truth. I had seen it with my own eyes, and now, as I delved deeper into forgotten lore, I began to hear it as well. It started as a whisper, so faint that at first I believed it to be the wind rustling through the trees outside my window. But as the days wore on, the whispers grew more insistent, more coherent. They spoke of vast, impossible geometries, of entities so ancient and powerful that to merely glimpse them would shatter a human mind. And always, they beckoned me to look again, to gaze deeper into the void where the black star waited. I resisted these urges at first, clinging desperately to what remained of my rational mind. But the call was relentless, wearing away at my resolve like water on stone. Night after night, I found myself drawn to my telescope, my eyes searching the heavens for that patch of absolute darkness that seemed to pulse with malevolent intent. And as I watched, the world around me began to change. It was subtle at first, a stillness in the air, a quality of light that seemed just slightly off. But soon, reports began to filter in from around the globe of strange occurrences. In a small village in the Andes, an entire flock of birds fell from the sky, their eyes milky white and unseeing. Off the coast of Japan, fishermen reported seeing vast shapes moving beneath the waves, creatures of such size that they dwarfed the largest whales. Most disturbing of all were the disappearances. It began with individuals: a farmer in Iowa, a school teacher in Bangkok, a young girl in Lagos. They vanished without a trace, leaving behind only cryptic messages scrawled in languages long forgotten. But soon, the scale of these vanishings grew. Entire towns were found abandoned overnight, their inhabitants gone as if they had never existed. The scientific community scrambled for explanations. Climate change, mass hysteria, even elaborate hoaxes were proposed and debated. But I knew the truth. The Black Star was calling, and those sensitive to its siren song were answering, drawn inexorably toward some cosmic destiny beyond human comprehension. As panic began to grip the world, I retreated further into my studies. My home became a fortress of books and star charts, my windows covered with heavy drapes to block out the light of day. I subsisted on meager rations, my appetite all but vanished as I devoted every waking moment to unraveling the mystery of the Black Star. It was during one of these marathon research sessions that I made a discovery that shook me to my very core. Hidden within the ramblings of a 17th century alchemist was a reference to a ritual, a means of communing directly with the entities that dwelled beyond the veil of our reality. The text was fragmented, much of it lost to time and decay, but what remained was enough to send shivers down my spine. The ritual required specific astronomical alignments, rare herbs, and, most disturbingly, a willingness to open one's mind to the vast, uncaring cosmos. As I read the details, I felt a stirring of recognition. The whispers that had plagued me for weeks grew louder, more insistent. They seemed to be urging me forward, guiding my hand as I gathered the necessary components. I knew on some level that what I was contemplating was madness. To willingly expose oneself to such cosmic forces was to invite destruction of the body, of the mind, perhaps even of the soul. But my scientific curiosity, warped by weeks of isolation and obsession, overrode any sense of self-preservation. On the night of the summer solstice, with the Black Star looming larger in the sky than ever before, I prepared to perform the ritual. My study, once a bastion of scientific inquiry, now resembled something out of a medieval grimoire. Candles flickered in arcane patterns on the floor, their smoke curling in shapes that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The air was thick with the scent of burning herbs, their fumes already beginning to cloud my senses. As I began to chant the words of the ritual, my voice hoarse and unfamiliar to my own ears, I felt a shift in the very fabric of reality. The walls of my study seemed to waver and dissolve, revealing glimpses of vast, alien landscapes beyond. Shapes moved in the darkness, things that my mind refused to fully comprehend, their geometries an affront to all earthly logic. And then, with a suddenness that left me gasping, I was elsewhere. Gone was my familiar study. Gone was the earth itself. I found myself floating in an endless void, surrounded by stars and nebulae of colors that had no names in any human language. And there, before me, was the Black Star in all its terrible glory. It was not truly a star, I realized with a horror that threatened to unmake my very being. It was a gate, a portal to realms beyond human understanding. As I watched, paralyzed by fear and awe, the Black Star began to open, its darkness parting like great cosmic jaws. What I saw in that moment, dear reader, I cannot fully describe. To do so would be to invite madness not only upon myself, but upon any who might read these words. Suffice it to say that in the depths of the Black Star, I glimpsed the true nature of our universe, a reality so vast, so utterly indifferent to human concerns, that the mere knowledge of it is enough to drive one to the brink of insanity. I saw worlds beyond counting, each teeming with life so alien that to call them creatures would be a gross oversimplification. I saw the rise and fall of civilizations that spanned galaxies, their histories playing out in the blink of an cosmic eye. And I saw, with a clarity that seared itself into my soul, the true place of humanity in this grand, terrible tapestry. We are nothing, less than nothing. Our entire history, from the first primordial organisms to our greatest achievements, is but the briefest flicker in the face of eternity. The Black Star and the entities that dwelled within it had watched countless races rise and fall, had seen the birth and death of universes. To them, we were less than ants. We were motes of dust, invisible and inconsequential. As this realization washed over me, I felt my sanity begin to crumble. The human mind is not meant to contain such knowledge, to bear the weight of cosmic irrelevance. I screamed, though in that airless void, no sound emerged. I thrashed and flailed, desperate to wake from what surely must be a nightmare. But it was no dream, and there was no waking. The black star held me in its grip, showing me truths that no mortal was ever meant to know. I saw the future, not just of humanity, but of all things. I saw the heat death of the universe, the long, slow fade into eternal darkness. And beyond even that, I glimpsed something. A cycle of creation and destruction so vast that even the lifespan of our universe was but a single turn of its great wheel. How long I remained in that state, I cannot say. Time had no meaning in that place between places. It could have been moments or millennia. When I finally came back to myself, I was lying on the floor of my study. The candles long since burned out, the herbs reduced to ash. The first light of dawn was creeping through the cracks in my curtains, a pale reminder of a world that now seemed hopelessly small and fragile. As I struggled to my feet, my body weak and trembling, I became aware of a change within myself. The whispers that had haunted me for so long were gone, replaced by a terrible silence. But in that silence, I could feel the weight of what I had witnessed, the knowledge that could never be unlearned. I stumbled to my telescope, drawn by some irresistible force. As I gazed through the lens, I saw that the black star had grown larger still, now visible even to the naked eye as a dark smudge against the lightening sky. And I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to my very bones, that this was only the beginning. The black star was coming, and with it, a change so profound that it would reshape the very nature of our existence. Those who had vanished were merely the first, the sensitive souls who had heard the call early and answered it. Soon, all of humanity would be forced to confront the truth of our cosmic insignificance. As I write these words, dear reader, I can feel my grip on reality slipping. The visions I experienced during the ritual haunt my waking hours, blurring the lines between what is real and what is mere cosmic nightmare. I do not know how much longer I can resist the call of the black star, or if resistance is even possible or desirable. For in those moments when my mind touches the vast, uncaring cosmos, I feel a terrible longing. A part of me yearns to return to that place beyond places, to lose myself in the infinite expanse of creation. Perhaps that is the true nature of the black star's call, not a summons to destruction, but an invitation to transcend the limitations of our frail human existence. But such thoughts are dangerous, I know. They are the siren song that has lured countless others before me into the waiting maw of cosmic horror. And yet, as I look to the sky and see the black star growing ever larger, I cannot help but wonder, is it truly horror that awaits us, or is it revelation? Is it? The choice, it seems, will soon be upon us all. For the black star beckons, and in its call lies the key to unlocking the greatest mysteries of existence. Whether we have the strength to face those mysteries, or whether we will be broken by the weight of cosmic truth, only time will tell. As for me, I fear my path is already set. The knowledge I have gained cannot be undone, and the call of the black star grows stronger with each passing moment. I leave this account as a warning, or perhaps as an invitation, to those who come after. Look to the skies, dear reader, and know that in the vast, uncaring cosmos, something ancient and terrible is stirring. The black star beckons, and we in our insignificance can only answer its call. The days following my fateful communion with the black star passed in a haze of fevered dreams and waking nightmares. I scarcely ate or slept, my mind consumed by the terrible knowledge I had gained. The world around me seemed to grow increasingly alien, as if reality itself was beginning to fray at the edges. It was during one of my rare moments of lucidity that I first noticed the changes in my own physiology. My skin had taken on a pallid, almost translucent quality, and my eyes, once a mundane brown, now shimmered with an opalescent sheen. When I gazed into the mirror, I could swear that for brief moments I saw not my own reflection, but glimpses of that vast, star-strewn void I had witnessed during the ritual. But these personal transformations paled in comparison to the chaos that was beginning to engulf the world at large. As the black star grew ever more visible in the night sky, Its influence on our planet became impossible to ignore. Reports flooded in from every corner of the globe of unexplainable phenomena. In the heart of the Sahara, a massive sinkhole appeared overnight, revealing the ruins of a city that predated known human civilization. Archaeologists who ventured into its depths returned babbling of impossibly preserved texts written in languages that defied translation, and of murals depicting beings that could not have evolved on Earth. Off the coast of Antarctica, the seas began to boil, not with heat, but with a cold so intense it caused water to sublimate directly into vapor. Ships that ventured too close found their hulls encased in ice that formed patterns reminiscent of non-Euclidean geometries. The few sailors who survived these encounters spoke of voices in the mist, whispering promises of cosmic truths and terrible, wonderful transformations. In the bustling metropolises of the world, the boundary between the material and the immaterial began to blur. Skyscrapers twisted into impossible shapes, their steel and glass flowing like liquid in defiance of all known laws of physics. People reported seeing their own doppelgangers walking the streets, only for these mirror images to dissolve into wisps of shadow when approached. The scientific community, once so dismissive of my warnings, now scrambled to make sense of a world rapidly slipping beyond the grasp of rational explanation. Physicists proposed wild theories of intersecting dimensions and collapsing reality fields, while biologists grappled with reports of spontaneous genetic mutations in both humans and animals. But it was the psychologists and psychiatrists who found themselves most overwhelmed. As the Black Star's presence grew, so too did the number of people claiming to hear its call. Mental health facilities were inundated with patients experiencing vivid hallucinations and uncontrollable urges to venture out into the night. Many spoke of dreams in which they traversed vast distances through space, guided by the pulsing darkness of the Black Star. Governments around the world struggled to maintain order in the face of this creeping cosmic chaos. Some nations declared states of emergency, imposing strict curfews and establishing quarantine zones around areas most affected by the strange phenomena. Others turned to religious leaders for guidance as ancient prophecies and long-forgotten myths suddenly seemed to take on new, terrifying relevance. Cults began to spring up, their members gathering in secret to worship the Black Star and prepare for what they called the Great Transition. These groups ranged from the benign, those who saw the coming change as a form of spiritual ascension, to the malevolent, who sought to hasten humanity's merger with the cosmic unknown through acts of violence and sacrifice. As for myself, I found that I could no longer differentiate between the waking world and the realm of dreams. My nights were filled with visions of vast cosmic architectures and beings of such immense scale that to perceive even a fraction of their true form was to invite madness. But even in my waking hours, reality seemed to warp and shift around me. The walls of my study would occasionally become transparent, revealing glimpses of alien landscapes that could not, exist on Earth. It was during one of these episodes of shifted perception that I received an unexpected visitor. Dr. Eleanor Marsh, an old colleague from my days at the university, arrived unannounced at my door. Her appearance was shocking. Her once immaculate suit was disheveled, her hair wild, and her eyes bore the same opalescent sheen that I had noticed in my own. "Jonathan," she gasped as I ushered her inside, "tell me you've seen it too. Tell me I'm not going mad." As I prepared a pot of strong tea, a futile attempt at normalcy in a world rapidly abandoning such concepts, Eleanor shared her story. She had been part of a team of astronomers attempting to study the Black Star using the most advanced telescopes available. But as they focused their instruments on that impossible void, something had looked back. It was like the darkness itself became aware of us, Eleanor said, her hands shaking as she clutched her teacup. We all saw it differently. Some of the team started screaming about tentacles and eyes. Others just collapsed. But I saw beauty, Jonathan. Terrible, incomprehensible beauty. I listened in growing horror as Eleanor described how, in the days following that incident, members of her team had begun to disappear. Not all at once, but one by one, they would fail to show up for work or answer their phones. When authorities investigated, they found homes abandoned, often with strange symbols carved into the walls or floors. "And the dreams," Eleanor continued, her voice dropping to a whisper. Every night I see myself walking across the surface of distant planets, breathing atmospheres that should be toxic, surviving in conditions that would kill any normal human. But in those dreams, I'm not human anymore. I'm something else, something more. As she spoke, I felt a surge of both terror and exhilaration. Here at last was someone who understood, someone who had glimpsed the cosmic truths that had been haunting me. Together, perhaps we could make sense of the madness that was engulfing our world. Over the next several days, Eleanor and I pored over my notes, comparing our experiences and theories. We reached out to other colleagues, those we knew had been studying the Black Star, and began to piece together a broader picture of what was happening. It became clear that the Black Star was not simply approaching Earth. It was altering the very fabric of our reality as it drew near. The laws of physics, once thought immutable, were becoming more like guidelines, flexing and bending in ways that defied comprehension. And with these changes came a fundamental shift in the nature of life itself. Reports trickled in from around the world of people exhibiting strange new abilities. A farmer in Nebraska claimed he could communicate with his crops, feeling their thirst and hunger as if it were his own. A young girl in Seoul was found levitating in her bedroom, surrounded by objects that orbited her like planets around a star. In the Amazon rainforest, shamans spoke of merging their consciousness with the entire ecosystem, becoming one with the intricate web of life that spanned the jungle. But for every story of wonder, there were tales of horror. In the depths of the Mariana Trench, research submarines encountered creatures that defied classification, massive protean entities that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Entire communities along the coast of Maine vanished overnight, leaving behind only a fine, iridescent mist that hung in the air like a membrane between worlds. As Eleanor and I delved deeper into our research, we began to experience changes. Our need for sleep diminished, then vanished entirely. Food lost its appeal as we found ourselves sustained by some invisible cosmic energy. Our minds expanded, allowing us to grasp concepts that would have been incomprehensible mere weeks ago. One night, as we stood on the roof of my observatory, gazing up at the Black Star that now dominated the night sky, Eleanor turned to me with a look of rapturous understanding. "Don't you see, Jonathan?" she whispered, her voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. "This isn't an invasion or an end. It's an invitation. The Black Star isn't destroying our world. It's evolving it, evolving us." As if in response to her words, the air around us began to shimmer and twist. The stars seemed to elongate, stretching into lines of light that wove themselves into impossible patterns. And there, at the center of it all, the Black Star pulsed with a dark radiance that called to something deep within my transformed being. In that moment, I understood. The terror I had felt, the madness that had gripped me, they were merely the death throes of my limited human perception. As I stood there, hand in hand with Eleanor, I felt my consciousness expand beyond the confines of my physical form. I was aware of every atom in my body, every particle of dust floating in the air around us, every blade of grass on the ground below. And beyond that, I sensed the presence of others, countless minds reaching out across the vastness of space, all drawn by the irresistible pull of the Black Star. Some were human, or had been once. Others were so alien that even attempting to comprehend their nature threatened to shatter my newly expanded awareness. As dawn broke, painting the sky in hues that had never before been seen on Earth, Eleanor and I made a decision. We would no longer hide from the changes overtaking our world. Instead, we would embrace them, acting as guides for those still struggling to understand the cosmic transformation that was unfolding. We began to reach out to others who had been touched by the Black Star's influence. Through dreams and visions, we called to those who were ready to take the next step in humanity's evolution. Slowly, a community began to form, a network of awakened individuals preparing for the moment when the Black Star would fully merge with our reality. But even as our numbers grew, so too did the resistance to the coming change. Governments, religious institutions, and those whose power was rooted in the old order of reality began to take drastic measures. Martial law was declared in countries around the world. Those exhibiting signs of transformation were rounded up and placed in quarantine zones. Desperate plans were hatched to somehow destroy or drive away the Black Star, despite all evidence that such efforts were futile. The conflict that followed was like no war humanity had ever experienced. It was fought not just with weapons and armies, but with shifting realities and altered states of consciousness. Those of us who had embraced the change found ourselves capable of manipulating the increasingly malleable fabric of space-time. We could step between moments, traverse vast distances with a thought, and reshape matter according to our will. But these abilities came at a cost. With each use of our newfound powers, we felt ourselves slipping further from our human origins. Our physical forms became increasingly mutable, sometimes shifting unconsciously to reflect our thoughts or emotions. There were times when I would catch a glimpse of myself in a reflective surface and see not a man, but a swirling vortex of cosmic energy barely contained within a humanoid shape. As the day of the Black Star's arrival drew near, the world descended into a chaos beyond imagining. The skies roiled with auroras of impossible colors, while the ground beneath our feet pulsed with rhythms that echoed the heartbeat of distant stars. The barrier between dimensions grew thin, allowing glimpses of realities so foreign that to gaze upon them was to risk losing all sense of self. In the final hours, as the Black Star loomed so large that it filled half the sky, a strange calm settled over the earth. The fighting ceased, the panic subsided, and a sense of anticipation, equal parts terror and exhilaration, gripped every living being. Standing atop a mountain that had not existed the day before, Eleanor and I watched as the Black Star began its final approach. The air thrummed with energy, and I could feel the thoughts and emotions of countless others, human and otherwise, all focused on this singular moment. "What happens now?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper in the cosmic wind that howled around us. Eleanor turned to me, her form shimmering with possibilities, countless potential futures overlapping in a dizzying display. "Now," she said, her voice echoing across realities, "we become part of something greater than we ever imagined." As the Black Star touched the Earth's atmosphere, reality itself seemed to hold its breath. For a single eternal moment, everything was still. Then, with a soundless explosion that resonated through every atom of creation, the transformation began. I felt my consciousness expand exponentially, merging with the minds of every other being on the planet. Human and animal, plant and mineral, all barriers dissolved as we became one vast, collective awareness. And through this unified consciousness, I perceived the true nature of the Black Star. It was not a celestial body, not a portal, not even an entity in any sense we could comprehend. It was a catalyst, a cosmic algorithm designed to shepherd evolving species across the threshold of a higher existence. And we, in all our striving and struggling, our triumphs and failures, had finally reached the point where we were ready to take that leap. As our collective awareness melded with the cosmic forces unleashed by the Black Star, I understood that this was not an end, but a beginning. We were becoming part of something vast and beautiful and terrifying, a cosmic tapestry of consciousness that spanned universes and transcended time itself. In that eternal moment of transformation, I glimpsed the fate of humanity. We would not die, not in any sense that we had previously understood death. Instead, we would be reborn, our consciousness freed from the limitations of individual form, free to explore the infinite wonders of creation. Some of us would choose to remain as stewards of Earth, shepherding the next generation of life that would evolve in our wake. Others would venture out into the cosmos, seeking new experiences and challenges across the vast expanse of space and time. And still others would merge more fully with the cosmic consciousness, becoming one with the fundamental forces that shaped reality itself. As for myself and Eleanor, I saw that our path would take us to the very edges of existence. We would become explorers of realities beyond imagination, cartographers of the multiverse, forever seeking to understand the grand design that had led us to this moment of cosmic apotheosis. With a final surge of energy, the Black Star completed its merger with Earth. The planet, along with every being upon it, was enveloped in a cocoon of dark radiance. And in that embrace, We were unmade and remade. Our very essence transformed into something that defied all previous definitions of life and consciousness. When the transformation was complete, the Earth as we had known it was gone. In its place was a nexus of cosmic energy, a shining beacon of evolved consciousness that pulsed with the potential of infinite futures. And so, dear reader, I leave this account not as a warning but as a promise. The black stars call echoes across time and space, touching all worlds where life has evolved to the brink of cosmic awareness. One day, it will reach your world, your time, and when it does, know that it heralds not an end but a glorious, terrifying rebirth. The universe awaits, vast and mysterious and filled with wonders beyond imagining. The black star beckons, and in its call lies the key to unlocking the greatest adventure of all, the journey to become one with the cosmic all. As I prepare to depart this transformed Earth, to venture out into the infinite expanse of evolved consciousness, I am filled with a sense of awe and possibility that defies description. The terror that once gripped me has been replaced by an exhilarating anticipation of the cosmic wonders that await. Eleanor, her form now a shimmering amalgam of light and possibility, reaches out to me. Our consciousnesses merge, and together we step into the vast unknown. The black star's purpose fulfilled, it recedes, moving on to other worlds, other species ripe for transformation. And we, the children of Earth reborn as cosmic entities, begin our eternal journey across the canvas of creation. What wonders we will see, what knowledge we will gain, what part we will play in the grand cosmic drama, these are the questions that now drive us forward. To you who may one day read these words, I say, look to the stars with wonder, not fear. For in their depths lies not just the history of our universe, but the promise of all that is yet to be. The black star beckons, and the greatest adventure imaginable awaits. In the vast expanse of the cosmos where time and space intertwine in ways beyond human comprehension, I, Jonathan Vale, continue my journey. No longer bound by the limitations of flesh and bone, my consciousness drifts through the infinite, carried on currents of dark energy that pulse with the rhythm of creation itself. The transformation wrought by the black star was not an end, but a beginning, a rebirth into a state of existence so far removed from our former humanity that to describe it and yet I am compelled to try. For in the echoes of my former self, I feel a responsibility to bear witness to the cosmic drama unfolding across the tapestry of reality. Perhaps, in some distant future, these words will reach those still awaiting their own transformation, offering a glimpse of the wonders and terrors that await on the other side of evolution. In the aftermath of Earth's metamorphosis, those of us who had been human found ourselves scattered across the universe, our newfound cosmic awareness allowing us to perceive and interact with realms of existence previously hidden from view. Some, like Eleanor and myself, chose to venture into the deepest reaches of space, seeking out other civilizations on the brink of their own cosmic awakening. Others remained closer to our transformed homeworld, shepherding the new forms of life that were all. As we traveled, we encountered wonders that defied imagination. Nebulae that sang with the voices of a billion stars, their cosmic harmonies telling the story of universe's birth and eventual heat death. Planets where the very concept of matter was fluid, their surfaces shifting and flowing like living paintings. Black holes that served as gateways to other dimensions, their event horizons shimmering with the promise of realities beyond our own. But it was not all beauty and wonder. In the dark spaces between stars, we found horrors that would have shattered our sanity had we still been bound by human limitations. Vast, ancient entities that drifted through the void, their very existence an affront to the laws of physics. Civilizations that had evolved along paths so alien that their mere presence caused ripples of discord in the fabric of space-time. One such encounter stands out in my memory, a moment that tested the limits of even our expanded consciousness. Eleanor and I had been drawn to a distant galaxy by whispers in the cosmic wind, hints of a species on the verge of transcendence. As we approached, we sensed something amiss. The star systems we passed were dead, their planets reduced to lifeless husks orbiting cold, dim suns. At the heart of the galaxy, we found the source of the devastation. a collective consciousness not unlike what humanity had become, but twisted and corrupted by eons of isolation and madness. This entity, which had once been millions of individual beings, had merged into a single ravenous mind that consumed everything in its path. As we made contact, we were assaulted by waves of alien thoughts and emotions. Hunger, despair, and a loneliness so profound it threatened to swallow us whole. In that moment, we understood the terrible price of immortality without purpose, of power without wisdom to guide it. With great effort, Eleanor and I managed to break free from the entity's psychic grasp. But the encounter left us shaken, aware of the fine line we walked between transcendence and oblivion. It was a stark reminder that even in our evolved state, we were not immune to the dangers that lurked in the cosmic depths. As we continued our journey, we began to perceive patterns in the chaos of the universe. The black star, we realized, was not unique. Across the vast expanse of creation, similar catalysts of evolution moved from world to world, guiding species towards cosmic awareness. Some took forms similar to our black star, while others manifested as pulses of energy, living planets, or even ideas that spread like viruses through susceptible populations. We came to understand that we were part of a grand cycle, a cosmic ecosystem of evolving consciousness. Just as individual organisms on Earth had once formed a complex web of life, so too did evolved species form a galactic, universal, network of interconnected minds. But this revelation brought with it a new set of questions. Who or what had set this cycle in motion? Was there a guiding intelligence behind the cosmic evolution we were experiencing? Or was it simply the natural progression of consciousness in an infinite universe? In our quest for answers, Eleanor and I found ourselves drawn to the very edges of existence. We traversed wormholes that led to parallel universes, each with its own unique laws of physics and forms of life. We skimmed the surfaces of time itself, witnessing the birth and death of entire realities in the span of what would have once been heartbeats. And everywhere we went, we found traces of those who had come before us. Ancient artifacts of impossible technology drifting in the spaces between galaxies. The echoes of long-dead civilizations preserved in the quantum foam of empty space. And always, the sense of something greater just beyond our reach, a cosmic truth that danced at the edges of even our expanded perception. It was during one of these explorations into the unknown that we encountered something that would forever change our understanding of existence. We had followed a trail of quantum disturbances to a region of space where the very fabric of reality seemed to fray and unravel. There, suspended in a void that defied all attempts at measurement or description, we found what can only be called the nexus. Imagine, if you can, a structure larger than galaxies, composed not of matter or energy as we understand them, but of pure information. It pulsed with a rhythm that resonated through every level of reality, from the smallest subatomic particle to the largest cosmic structures. As we approached, we felt our consciousness expand even further, encompassing levels of existence we had never dreamed possible. The nexus, we realized, was the source of the cosmic evolution we had been experiencing. It was a vast, multi-dimensional computer of sorts, running simulations of entire universes and guiding the development of consciousness across all of creation. And we, along with every other evolved species in existence, were both its creations and its caretakers. As we merged our consciousness with the nexus, we were overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the cosmic design we were witnessing. We saw the birth and death of universes, the rise and fall of civilizations across countless realities. We experienced lifetimes in the span of seconds, our awareness expanding to encompass the totality of existence. And in that moment of ultimate connection, we understood the true purpose of our cosmic journey. We were not merely explorers or observers, but active participants in the evolution of consciousness itself. Each experience we had, each discovery we made, contributed to the grand tapestry of cosmic awareness that the Nexus was weaving. But with this understanding came a choice, a decision that would shape not just our own fate, but the fate of all conscious beings across the multiverse. We could remain merged with the Nexus, becoming one with the source of all creation. In doing so, We would gain access to knowledge and power beyond imagining, but at the cost of our individual identities and the experiences that had shaped us. Or we could choose to return to the universe as we knew it, carrying with us the wisdom we had gained but remaining separate entities. We would continue to explore and grow, adding to the cosmic consciousness but maintaining our unique perspectives. As Eleanor and I grappled with this decision, we became aware of countless other minds joining us at the Nexus. Evolved beings from across time and space, all faced with the same choice. Some chose to merge, their individual consciousnesses dissolving into the greater whole. Others, like us, chose to return, forever changed by what we had witnessed but determined to continue our journey. With a final surge of connection, we bid farewell to the Nexus and found ourselves back in the familiar, though still awe-inspiring, expanse of our home universe. But we were not the same beings who had begun this journey. The knowledge we had gained, the truths we had witnessed had transformed us yet again. We now understood that the Black Star and its kin were not just catalysts for evolution, but emissaries of the Nexus itself. They were the instruments through which the cosmic consciousness guided the development of life and awareness throughout the multiverse. And we, the evolved children of countless worlds, were both the result of this grand experiment and its future guides. As we resumed our exploration of the cosmos, we did so with a new sense of purpose. We were no longer merely witnesses to the wonders of creation, but active participants in its ongoing evolution. Each world we visited, each civilization we encountered, became an opportunity to nurture the spark of cosmic awareness and guide it towards its ultimate potential. We learned to shape reality itself, using our connection to the Nexus to heal wounded planets, to nudge struggling species towards enlightenment, and to combat the forces of entropy that threaten to unravel the delicate web of cosmic life. Our every action rippled across time and space, influencing the course of evolution on scales both microscopic and unimaginably vast. But even as we worked to guide and nurture, we were careful not to interfere too directly. For we understood now that the journey was as important as the destination. Each species, each individual being, had to find its own path to cosmic awareness. Our role was to provide gentle guidance, to offer a helping hand when needed, but never to force or coerce. As eons passed, we watched civilizations rise and fall, saw stars born and die, witnessed the birth of new universes and the quiet fading of old ones. And through it all, we maintained our connection to each other and to the grand cosmic design we were part of. Eleanor and I, once mere humans gazing up at an uncaring sky, had become shepherds of cosmic evolution, guardians of a process so vast and complex that even our enhanced minds could scarcely comprehend its full scope. And yet, in quiet moments between the stars, we would sometimes reflect on our journey, marveling at how far we had come and wondering what new wonders awaited us in the infinite expanse of creation. And so, dear reader, I leave you with this final testament. Whether you are a being of flesh and blood, reading these words in some distant future, or a cosmic entity reflecting on the early stages of your own evolution, know this: the universe is vaster, stranger, and more wondrous than you can possibly imagine. The black star that beckons to you is not an end, but a beginning, a doorway to a realm of existence beyond your wildest dreams. Embrace the change that comes, for in that transformation lies the key to unlocking the greatest mysteries of creation. The cosmos awaits, with all its terrors and its beauties, its challenges and its rewards. And someday, perhaps, you too will find yourself standing at the threshold of the Nexus, ready to take your place in the grand design of universal consciousness. As for Eleanor and me, our journey continues. Across the vast expanse of space and time in dimensions beyond human comprehension, we carry the flame of awareness ever forward. For in the end, we are all stardust given consciousness, all of us part of the same cosmic story. The black star beckons, the Nexus awaits, and the greatest adventure imaginable stretches out before us, infinite and eternal.